I'd like to welcome everybody to the Locust Valley School Board Education regular meeting, Wednesday, September 13th, 2023. We're going to rise for the pledge, and then we will take a moment of silence to commemorate September 11th. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and for justice for all. Thank you. Calling the meeting to order. Susan, do we have any speakers? No speakers. Okay. We will start with the reports to the board and our newest student representatives, Ashley Grella and Madison Malillo. Welcome, girls.
Thank you.
Very happy to have you for your first board meeting.
We're happy
official
to be here.
Board meeting. And I'll let you get right to it.
Good evening. Thank you for having us here tonight as your student representatives. It's an honor. We're so excited to be back here at Locust Valley for a new school year. Congratulations to our classmates and faculty for a successful first few weeks back to school. We can't wait to see what the rest of the year has in store for us.
One of the things that has made this transition back to school so easy was the hard work of our staff, especially the custodial staff. We'd like to thank them for all their hard work this summer, cleaning up the school, installing approximately 80 new air conditioning units, and making sure that our school was ready for students to enter in the fall.
Fall sports and extracurriculars have started on a great foot. The following 4 varsity teams have all brought wins back to LV in this past week: boys soccer, girls soccer, boys volleyball, and football. We'd like to congratulate them on their wins and wish them the best of luck for the rest of their seasons.
This month is going to be a busy one for us Falcons. Coming up, we have our Homecoming and Remembrance Bowl on Saturday, September 23rd. Our homecoming theme is Stars and Stripes and Remembrance.
Spirit Week starts on Monday, September 18th, and we would love to see our classmates showing their Falcon pride. Thank you to our administration, athletic council, student government, and parent council for working tirelessly to make this day possible. More details on this event can be found on the LVCSD website or lvremembrancebowl.com.
This event is just the beginning of another great year here at Locust Valley. Being seniors, Maddie and I can't wait for all that this year has coming for us.
We're so excited for everything up ahead, and we can't wait to share it with you all. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, ladies. And next, our superintendent's report. Welcome to your official first year, Dr. Turnow. It's been a very busy start, and I will let you get right to your report.
Wonderful, thank you. Madison and Ashley, I'm really excited for this year. Thank you so much. So it has been a wonderful opening. I think Dr. Sampino and I have made, our cars have zigzagged across the school district, visiting all the children, watching our principals, our teachers, and all the staff members outside, just welcoming our children back to school. Couple of hot days in the beginning, but this week has been absolutely wonderful. I think this Monday, starting out with Mr. Anea and the high school team in remembrance of 9/11. I was fortunate enough to actually have my first LV TV interview with them. It was just a wonderful morning. Of just really difficult memories, of course, for all of us, but the middle school and high school team just did such an amazing job. That's all I can say. Very heartfelt. What I'd like to do is I'd like to introduce Dr. Janine Sampino and Mr. Joe Anea, and they're going to just speak a little bit about our Remembrance Bowl curriculum. They have a little presentation for us, so I'd like to welcome them up.
Thank you. Welcome back, everybody. It has been a very busy beginning to the school year. It is a true pleasure to introduce Mr. Joseph Anea. Mr. Anea is a former graduate of Locust Valley High School. He was a social studies teacher here for many years, a beloved social studies teacher, because I still see children in the hallway excited to see Mr. Anea. and recently took over as our coordinator of social studies K through 12. He has done a wonderful job planning and organizing the curricula units for the Remembrance Bowl. These lessons were designed by our teachers to help our students prepare and understand the significance of this homecoming. Mr. Inea will present a brief overview. There are a lot of slides, don't be scared, but he will go quickly through them. But there was a lot of work that happened for this, and the presentation will be available on our website. Mr. Inea, thank you so much for coming and for working so hard on this. It's really appreciated.
Thank you. It's a pleasure. All right, so we're going to get into this right away. And again, before we start, I just want to thank Dr. Turnow and the Board of Education for moving forward with this project, both from the Remembrance Bowl standpoint and, of course, this curriculum, which I think is going to be really far-reaching, and it's going to really help our students in our district. So just to take everybody through the beginning stages. Not long after Patrick DiClemente worked with Operation Democracy and the Patton Legacy Foundation to bring us the Remembrance Bowl, there was a request made by that organization for us to develop a K-12 curriculum. And I was really eager to participate in that process. And I was really happy that we were able to put together a team of about 22 individuals, ranging from our teaching staff, administrators, our librarians. We have art teachers and music teachers. Everybody is involved in this, cross-curricular and K-12 initiative. So it's really been, really nice to see. I mean, as we see what's going on in the community, we have all different groups coming together to build the game. Well, we have all different communities within our school coming together to build the curriculum. So it really has shown that there's such power behind this, event. So just really quick, just to honor, and thank those who participated is quickly our list of teachers and staff, that helped build this curriculum. And like I said, as we go through it, and I'm just going to show you, just different snippets of what is entailed in the, K to 2, 3 to 5, 6 to 8, 9 to 12 curricular pieces. Watching these colleagues work together was really something special, because they came from different buildings, different grade levels, yet they were able to come together with a common goal. And then I thought that was really nice, because we don't often see, K to 12 initiatives in curricular projects. So it was really interesting to see, and it proves it can be done. So we can, look to do something like this, in the future. So one of the biggest tasks, or the most difficult tasks, when saying, trying to implement a curriculum that's going to introduce elements of World War II on a K to 12 level, is making sure that everything we do is age appropriate. And that was really, I know, Dr. Sampino has her, elementary background, so she was very helpful, as well as our elementary staff, in indicating what is age appropriate to teach them, and then also what are their levels academically, and what will they be able to do within their classroom. So we start out with basically an introduction to American symbols, right? And that's where our K to 2 kind of class is going to focus on, is going to be looking at the significance behind things like the Statue of Liberty, the eagle, and the poppy. And the poppy becomes a major feature here, because the poppy is a flower that is meant for remembrance. So even though we normally see that with Memorial Day, the students will understand that when you do see a poppy, it's for a specific reason, and it's to remember someone who has, lost their lives in a war like this, or from a war. So we feel like that really is appropriate for them, and there are some really nice activities that were developed by our K to 2 staff for that. In 3 to 5, they're actually going to start looking at the World War II timeline. All right, they're going to start looking at the different events that lead up to the causes of the war, and then into the events around the war. But of course, age appropriate. The initial timeline for the third graders, I think, is going to be more of a fill in the blank. And then as they move along in age, they'll do things like copy and paste, and then they'll write or create their own. So again, in 5th grade, and 4th and 5th grade, we start to mention San Mary Glace, we start to mention the sister cities. We do all of that in our 3 to 5 curriculum, which we felt was the most age appropriate, and we start to tie in the New York State standards and activities that are associated with social studies. So it does help to bring some more meaning to what the students are actually doing. And I think we have, so here's a sample of what one of the lessons might look like, and this is about, what does it mean to be an American? So we thought that is an appropriate way of starting this off, so that they would understand kind of our civic virtues, right, and what Americans kind of have been asked to do or have been called on to do in the past. So some of these things that we're looking at are, following rules at home, community requirements. These are the different objectives that they want to pass along to them. And then vocabulary that we'll see that will come out is really bravery and patriotic. Those are two terms that they're going to need to become familiar with at this level. To continue with some examples, handwriting reinforcement, right? They have some tracing. They are going to go over all of the different branches of the military, so they'll learn about those. And then an acrostic poem, on brave, and they can start to learn about that discipline, understand a little bit about that type of poetry, but then also stay within that bravery and patriotic theme. In this particular slide, each of the pictures is a link to a different short video clip. So anything you see on there, from the monuments to the books that are there, each of them, even the presidents, you click on that and it's going to bring you to a different link with a short clip that reinforces some of these learning activities and or exposes them to some new ideas about some of the symbols that may have not been covered in the earlier future. As we mentioned with the 3 to 5 curriculum, chronological reasoning is a major part of the standards that they're supposed to understand, or the practices for the grade level. So we felt like this was important to show that, yes, while we're instituting something that really isn't part of their direct curriculum, it does align itself with some of the activities that they're supposed to be doing. So, it is appropriate for them to do this at any point during the year. Here are some examples of what they might be exposed to in grades 3 to 5. So we see a pre-prescribed timeline that might be more appropriate when they're younger. And then on the right-hand side, a timeline that a student would create, a student-generated timeline, and that would cover all of the events. And that would be a way for them to kind of understand what was happening in the world, from 1939 to 1945. Just some examples of questions, and for you to see how we tie this back to Locust Valley. The teachers are going to circle back to the early lessons, because what we've designed is something that should take about 3 days to cover in class in preparation for the bowl. So it'll be 3 separate lessons per grade in preparation for this. So in this case, they'll go over the events of World War II, specifically, what occurred on D-Day. But then they want them to know is what is the relationship between Locust Valley and San Mary Glace, and why are we hosting a Remembrance Bowl? Like, we felt that was appropriate for them to know the reason behind that and talk about the game that never happened. That will all appear in this, age level curriculum. When we look at 6 through 12, that's much more kind of history based and social studies focused. So in 6 through 8. We're going to talk about the 6th of June, which is the short documentary, which is really so powerful. That was created by Henry Roosevelt Jr. We have that film is an integral part of that experience for that group. And then as we get into 9 through 12, again, it's actually more appropriate curriculum-wise, because these are topics that are actually covered in those grades. So we will get deeper into the content surrounding the causes of the war, the events themselves, talking about Operation Overlord, talking about the liberation of France in great detail. So the Mother of Normandy is another, huge part of what we're going to be doing here with the Remembrance Project. And the Mother of Normandy represents Madame Renaud. She was the wife of the mayor, and if you are familiar with the story, she becomes popular or prominent in the world because of her ability to care for the graves of the fallen soldiers, the American soldiers. And there's the very famous picture where she's caring for the grave of Teddy Roosevelt Jr. So she's known as the Mother of Normandy for those efforts, and she plays a big role in what they're going to be learning about. In fact, the entire middle school will be watching the Mother of Normandy in an assembly that's going to take place, I believe it's on the 21st. The morning of the 21st, they'll all going to watch that film together, and we have some questions designed for them. With this project, obviously, there are a lot of people that we would like to have at our disposal through Operation Democracy and Patent Legacy. So we have some dignitaries that are supposed to be available to us, but we're waiting just to confirm who for sure will be with us. But we're supposed to have representation from all the different groups to help provide, clearer, a sense of like the connection to the film. That we were trying to get Doug Stapleton here to actually speak on the film. I believe his wife is expecting a child that week.
No, Stapleton is coming.
Oh, he is, okay.
Roosevelt's wife just had the baby.
Oh,
And
congrats.
he won't be coming.
And how about and Ryland as well? They're also
Ryland, they're
expecting?
both expecting, yeah.
Okay.
But Doug Stapleton
Doug
will
will
be
be
here.
here.
I think he's coming in at 9:45 on the 20th. I thought I saw an email. I could be wrong. I
Okay.
could be wrong.
Perfect.
But
I'll follow up.
Doug Stapleton will definitely be here.
Excellent. So he plays a huge role in this as the director of the film. We'd like to have him here as the students watch it, and then to do a Q&A with them after they see it. Again, we want the students to understand that the sports do play a role in everything that that the Patent Legacy Foundation is doing. So we do touch upon football as the means to forge friendships, the fact that there was the game that was never played. So again, they'll talk about what occurred in the Champaign region. They'll talk about how the game was planned for them to be played, and then how the Battle of the Bulge interrupts that. And so they will get some insight into those events as well. So just a way of kind of taking this information and seeing how it might be applied in a middle school classroom would be a think about it type of question, and putting this on the students to kind of think about the situation, because we're very thankful that our students don't live in a world like this, right? They haven't experienced anything like the French experienced under German occupation. So what do you think it would be like to live in Saint Mary Glace during the German occupation? And then they have kind of an option of writing a paragraph or drawing a picture that would kind of represent what that would look like. Another thing is looking at primary source documents, so a picture taken from one of the grave sites and asking them to kind of reflect on that. This is a practice that is, goes hand in hand with social studies, especially in the middle school, at the middle school level. So allowing them to look over the documents, kind of look for clues, and to kind of make connections between what they're being taught and what they're being seen. So with 9 through 12, again, that's when we get into the area where we want to make sure what we're doing in the class pretty much at all times is in lockstep with our culminating exams. So a lot of the questioning that takes place in the high school is reflective of Regents exams or AP exam style questions, right? To help, to promote what we're trying to do in the end is prepare them for, for these types of, testing. So in this sample, this is a Regents-style short essay question that was developed by our team to give them an idea about what's taking place. And it's using the same language that they'll see on a Regents, but they're just taking the information that we gained from this topic and applying it to this so that they see some commonality between the two. Again, as we get into the specifics, things like the Blitzkrieg, the Lightning War, Hitler's involvement in occupation, all of those things get covered in detail, on the high school side. These were questions that Doug did lend us. He helped our curriculum team. So these are questions that will be asked in the high school because they're going to be going over that film as well. In the high school, they'll be looking at that as well. And what we were able to do with the high school, which was a little bit different than what we were able to do in the lower grades, is truly have cross-curricular content. So we have lessons that have been designed for both the English classes and the history classes to go on simultaneously. So this is a sample of one of the lessons that could be used from an English class that would lend itself to this topic. So this would be an example of one of the writing samples or writing lessons or questions. And again, what you should be seeing as if you really look at this, and I know I'm kind of rushing for you guys, but if you look at it, the same questions that are appearing in the 12th grade also appear in 5th grade. They just appear differently, but the same concept of our connection to San Mary Glace, what's happening there, the occupation, the invasion, all of that stuff is being touched upon, but just at a different level. As I mentioned before, so we have some guest speakers that we've invited. So in the 3 to 5 buildings, we have the American flag and its symbolism. That is an assembly that we have planned for the 20th of September. And we are supposed to have, we're hoping for Helen Patton, that she'll be here and that she's going to be able to talk about the significance of the flag and its symbols and all of those things, which again, in K to 2, they were learning about the symbols. Now 3 to 5, we add the symbols, but we're putting much more meaning behind it, right? They're going to learn much more about the kind of the patriotic meaning behind the flag, how to care for it, all of those things that are so important, from a civic standpoint. As I mentioned, the Mother of Normandy will be taking place, a showing of that for the middle school. And then we're also going to have the 6th of June playing every lunch period. And we want to invite the high school students to come down during lunch periods. We'll play it 15 minutes, and then we'll have a Q&A to follow up on that as well. So we want to make sure that they're seeing all of this, that they're getting access to all of the different media that's available to them, and that's a comprehensive kind of approach, to this event. A couple of other things. We also today, actually, we were able to put together, a gallery walk, a museum kind of style gallery walk that's going to take place in the mini theater on Tuesday and Wednesday of the week. So I believe that's the 19th and 20th. Romy Bennett and Paige Capola, they're going to oversee that. We received artifacts from the National D-Day Museum, so they sent up these trunks, and we're going to have them set up, and we're going to have a curator basically in there to kind of talk to the students about the different things that they're seeing. There are a bunch of activities as well that are planned that go along with each of the little items that they might see, and they can kind of connect better to what we're trying to teach them in the classroom. So it's not just going to be, again, history. It's kind of immersed throughout the week in different areas there. I think there's some other things here. So with our elementary program, between our K to 2 and 3 to 5, there's extensive involvement with the art and music classes. And I can't thank Anne-Marie Bonaspina enough for her efforts, because she really made sure that each of those grades was doing something that would help support an aspect of what they're doing. So they're going to be talking about making flags, they're going to be watching videos, creating artworks, and same in the 3 to 5, same deal. They're going to be looking at artists' renditions of things, maybe trying to replicate those things. So again, we're keeping it appropriate to what they're learning, but we're able to infuse elements of this to help increase their understanding, and then maybe to increase their participation come Saturday, where we'd like to have them then show up and be a part of the event themselves. Now they know a little bit more about it and feel like, hey, I want to be there to see that, unfold. And then music as well. So all of the elementary schools will be working on patriotic medleys. And they're also going to be exposed to music from that era, which is kind of cool. They get to understand, they listen to some of the songs that were played during the time of World War II, and then they'll be able to see what, maybe they can replicate. So that is all I have for you. Again, I apologize if it went fast, but if you have any questions, I'd be happy to answer them.
Any questions?
No, I think it's great. Thank you for all it.
I can't hear you, Michelle.
Oh, I said thank you for it. I think it's all
Oh.
great information.
You're welcome. All right.
Holly, George, Matt, Nick?
No one?
I just think it's terrific. Thank you. Thank you,
Oh,
John.
you're welcome. I'm just going to set Tony up because I think she's the next one.
Joey, I just want to thank you and your team and Patrick and Janine for taking this endeavor on. Really just, you came into the role and we kind of threw, the most enormous project at you, and you handled it beautifully. Just because I'm a nitpicker, I'm going to just give some insight. There's a timeline on the 3 to 5, and this one that has the pictures.
Yeah.
I think it's really important. Dates are really important. I know I still remember dates that social studies teachers drilled into my head when I was in middle school and high school. Where you have Japan attacks Pearl Harbor. We need the date. The children need to know that the date is, December 6th. We need the date of June 6th on there for the Allied forces carrying out D-Day invasion. And you mentioned Germany surrenders and that Japan surrenders. That's VE Day and VJ Day. Those are very important dates and nicknames and acronyms for those dates. I think that one of the things that would be really interesting for the high school kids to delve into is that, you know, FDR was really the wartime president, but Truman dropped the bomb. And he was only in office a few months. So, you know, that's really significant. And it's also really significant to look at the leadership in the United Kingdom, that it wasn't Churchill the whole time. Churchill came in at the end, and they actually thought he was a crackpot. And he's the one that ended up having the guts to go into Dunkirk and then have the guts to back the United States in the Allied invasion on D-Day. If those events, D-Day and then the Battle of the Bulge, I think also should be on that timeline. If those events didn't happen, it would be a really interesting dystopian type project for the older kids to do. You know, what would a world look like if there was no victory in Europe and there was no victory in Japan? And that's, I know this is a work in progress, so none of this is a criticism, but that's really the depth that I want our students to get into, because it is applicable to all of the standards. It is critical thinking, it's discernment, it's taking different parts of history and putting it together and really coming up with a broad view. And the other thing is, you know, the geopolitics of it all. After World War II, boundaries were changed in Europe, and we had a new country called Israel. So I think that those are things that we can really put in, whether or not this year or next year. I love, you know, speaking to you all summer about the scaffolding, that it won't be the same exact lessons this year than next year. This is going to be something that lives and breathes and grows here in Locust Valley. And I would recommend any high school and middle school social studies teacher take the 14 minutes, play 6th of June in your classroom. I think that if anybody watches that, and anybody at home, watch it with your kids. If your kids play, what are those videos, Mortal Kombat or Grand Theft Auto, the movie is more than, it's clean compared to those videos. So it's age appropriate, I would say from 6th grade up. And, you know, engage your children in these conversations. I had a parent say to me last night, I don't know if my high school kid understands what's going on. Take 15 minutes and watch that video. It's really amazing. Kathy Soroff from Operation Democracy produced that video. She is a local resident. Her son and Henry Roosevelt IV directed it. And it is going to be, you know, hopefully in the future, those filmmakers will come here and maybe meet with Roger Boucher and his team and really expand it. But I can't thank you enough. I appreciate you listening to my diatribes, as you always do. But I do think that it's really important for this community and for everybody else to know that this curriculum is about to be recognized by some college-level institutions. We don't have it in writing yet, but once we do, we'll make a beautiful announcement, and that members of this board, including you, Joey, are going to be traveling to Buffalo at the end of October to present it to the New York State School Boards Association. So it's really something spectacular, and I can't thank all of you. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Happy to be a part of it.
Now I just want to welcome up Tony Malambro to come up and just really speak about the COVID grants that all the school districts were given. One is supposed to be completely utilized by the end of September, and there's still one more grant that's out there. So she's just going to explain really to the community where we're at with those grants.
Okay, thank you. Good evening, everyone. In March of 2020, the federal government awarded districts a certain amount of money for the Coronavirus Response and Relief Supplemental Appropriations Act and the American Rescue Plan. The amounts that were allocated to Locust Valley for the CARISA, the top one, is $492,544, and the amount allocated for the American Rescue Plan is $1,107,000. And it was specified that these monies would be used for expenses incurred related to the pandemic. Things like additional cleaning, health and safety, learning loss, etc. So the first grant, Carissa, the grant period was March 13th, 2020 to September 30th, 2023. As Dr. Turnow mentioned, that grant's expiring this month. And the American Rescue Plan was a longer period, March 13, 2020 to September 30, 24. So for both grants, we had to file applications indicating how we would use the money. Upon approval of the application, the federal government sent us 20% of the grant amount. That's what they do with all their grants. And upon completion of the grant and filing of the final cost report, you get back the remaining 80%. The coronavirus, the Carissa grant was allocated to special ed salaries, lunch salaries. You recall that there was free lunch offered to all students. There were a lot of additional expenses incurred during that period, and lunch had to be delivered to classrooms in a variety of different ways. So that was used, and employee benefits related to those salaries on the first grant, and a minor amount for some mental health services. The American Rescue Plan, the expenses that were allocated were summer school salaries to address the learning loss during the pandemic, custodial and cleaner salaries. The custodians worked overtime for a good period of time, and we hired additional part-time cleaners because there was so much additional desanitizing and cleaning of different areas, because lunch was eaten outside of the classrooms and things like that. And finally, monitor salaries, because of the extended periods that students spent at lunch and recess, and they had to be located in different areas at different times to keep them a certain distance apart. So that's how the funds were allocated up until this year. And there's also a column under the ARP for the estimated of what we will allocate from the 23-24 budget. So this will be posted on the website if you have any questions now, or you're welcome to contact the business office, and we'll answer any questions that you have.
Thank you. Does anyone have any questions for Jen?
Just a quick question. We had a scope in summer enrichment program that I thought fell into one of these grants. Do you remember, Tony? Was it included in one of these, or was that a different grant that we received? We did like a week-long summer enrichment program through Scope that was for all students. It was free to all students. And I believe it was originally, I thought, was slated to go under one of these grants.
Not to my knowledge, the Scope grant, I don't remember exactly what it is.
It was Jeannie. I think Dr. Sampino can talk to it.
Those is Scope? I don't remember we played Scope.
LVI when I first came.
Yeah.
No, this is not related to Scope. This is not related to
Yeah, it was a free program, and I don't think you were here, Janine.
No,
I think
it was the summer.
the summer you were coming in.
Correct.
And there were two.
2 weeks, right?
Yeah.
It
and
was
it
two
was
programs?
it was our summer program, and that were going on pretty much at the same time. One was at A&P and one was at LVI.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
This was not related to the Scope project.
So was that a free program that Scope gave us? Because it didn't cost anything.
Margaret, I have
You
to
don't
look. I
remember?
honestly don't recall. But I know that these are summer school salaries for the K-8 program that Bill Calandra supervised, I believe, the past 2
The
years.
actual,
Yeah, the K-8.
academic
yeah,
one.
Yeah, the academic programs. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
All right. We're going to move on to board reports. George, Audit Committee.
Should I still do that, or should Matt
Oh, Matt, I'm sorry.
leave technically?
Matt?
No report.
Okay. Budget and Finance,
No report?
Curriculum,
No report.
Facilities.
Yeah, good evening. Have a few updates for everybody after all of the summer work. We had a brief meeting, I guess it was a couple weeks ago, but just to kind of run through a little bit. Couple of highlights. Work is progressing here at the middle school and high school for the window wall replacement project. All the major windows were completed prior to the start of school, and doorways and smaller openings continue to be worked on after school hours and during breaks. We're going to commence on the bleachers and lights project here at the middle school and high school over the next 6 months, with installation of the light poles and some electrical work being completed first, and then the bleacher and light installation and pathway construction, which we're going to have also with lights, is scheduled to commence in the summer of 2024. We're happy to say that we've completed the replacement of the playground in AMP. I have a little kindergartner who can vouch for it. She loves it and squeals every time they get to go out, she said. And work has commenced on the replacement of the playground at LVI. And as soon as that's done, they're going to roll and do the playground replacement at BI. Weather has been, of course, setting the contractor back, as we all know, with all the thunderstorms going on. And coming down the pike, our architects, Campbell Cassetta, are working on drawings for the girls' locker room, which we're going to complete a renovation of, as well as drawings for the middle school replacement of the roof, which we think will be the last roof before we have to restart all over again. Thank you.
And hopefully none of us will be here for any more roof projects. I've seen enough roof projects to last me a lifetime. Policy Committee, that is me. We are in the process of waiting on some dates from legal. So hopefully by the next meeting, we'll have a Policy Committee to announce. Professional Development, Board Training, Michelle?
Nothing.
Public Relations?
Just a lot of the Remembrance Bowl. We've been working on it diligently. I do want to thank Tom, our PR rep, and his team at Syntax. They've been really getting out the word, doing a great job putting all the Remembrance Bowl information on all of our social media. And we welcome everybody out that weekend. We also will be having a Remembrance Luncheon on Friday at 11, and would love to see our community members there. So thank you.
Technology Committee, George?
No report.
Any other reports from any other board members? I would like to just take the opportunity to thank Dr. Turnow for a beautiful opening to schools. I think that we had the entire staff here in the auditorium, upwards of 500 people. Every employee of the district was invited to the superintendent's conference. And we got to learn a lot about Dr. Turnow with a beautiful presentation. And then we also had a beautiful keynote speaker, Regina Smith, who spoke about, breathing and taking a breath and empathy, grit, gratitude, grace. It was, I think, very well received. And then the teachers and the staff went to their departments and their buildings, and they worked on getting the buildings ready for the children. And I do want to say a very special thank you to the custodial staff of the entire district. I am in and out of these buildings throughout the summer, and sometimes I walk in and they're unrecognizable, and I say, oh my gosh, how are they going to put everything back together for the first day of school? But every summer they do, and your work does not go unnoticed. And I'm also in and out of buildings in Nassau County, and I think that we have one of the most beautiful campuses, not just because of the aesthetics of nature that surround us, but because we have a facility, we have a group of people in facilities who truly treat this place like it's their home, and they keep it clean and pristine, and just the attention to detail does not go unnoticed. So I just want to really thank all of the custodial staff, and including Eric. It's a remarkable feat every summer, and they pull it off every summer. Unfinished business.
I don't have, can I say something for new business, or I guess unfinished business?
Did we do new business after unfinished business?
Well, it's right. Yeah, they're right next to each other.
Okay.
If we could look into looking at the platform Parent Square for next year, just because it communicates with parents. So right now I'm getting 5 reminds from parent council about the plant sale and signing up for parent council and everything. And then I'm getting emails from Mrs. Wasserman about buses being late and the district. So Parent Square would put everything in the same spot. So I don't have to worry about like,
I thought that's what Apogee.
oh,
Apogee?
see, we weren't even told to get Apogee yet.
That's what I thought. I don't know if it's in full use yet, but I thought that's what that app
Okay, because
was about.
it has been rolled out to us yet as kindergartners, and I'm like, I don't know where I'm looking for everything.
Right.
So this would just keep everything in the same spot.
Why don't we look into what app, I can't say the word.
It's okay.
Apogee,
Okay.
what the Apogee app actually entails, because I know the athletics department used it the other day to notify for sports
Yeah, from the
I can't speak tonight, cancellations. So let's just, before we jump into another.
Yeah, just because, again, there was just, it's all over the place, the communication, and it was just trying to like
Streamline it.
figure out what I'm doing, because I don't
Yeah.
know what I'm doing in kindergarten.
Understandable. Let's put that on, or let's make a note of that.
Yeah.
Yes.
So I'll just jump in. So tomorrow, when we meet with the administration, actually, we are looking at this. So we do have a couple slides that Mrs. Bonaspina's put together to even help with the administration. She's going to come over and work with me personally, so even if I wanted to send a message. So we're just not quite there.
Okay.
So, but I promise you, after tomorrow, I'll know a lot more.
And does it do communication like parent to teacher? Because like right now,
I believe,
we're using Class
I
Dojo
believe it
too.
does everything.
Okay.
But I don't hold me to it
Okay.
until I actually see it tomorrow.
Perfect.
So we're going to look at that tomorrow. Also, some of the administration has been using SMORE.
Okay, yes, I saw
even-
that from Mr. Sestaro.
Yes, so some of the administrators have already been using it, and now some of them are embracing it even more. So if a parent wants to look at, say, the middle school or one of the elementary schools, everything is contained right there under the SMORE.
Okay.
So, but we're going to learn all about it together tomorrow.
Perfect, just so
Okay.
you know everything is.
Thank you.
Any other unfinished business? No? Okay, new business, appointment of voting delegate to NYSBA's annual business meeting.
I'd like to appoint Margaret Marchand as our voting delegate.
And that's for, the other thing that should have been on here, Susan, is the nomination for NYSBA's Area 11 delegate. So we could just add that on. It's okay.
I'd also like to nominate you for the Area 11.
All right, that we actually have to take a vote for. So, okay, so we'll do this one first. The appointment of the voting delegate. Here, let me explain to the new people. On October 16th, it is a Zoom meeting. You have to stay on the call the entire time. Last year, it lasted from 4 to 9 p.m. And you go through the resolutions. So you will vote on behalf of Locust Valley for, I think there's somewhere upwards of 55 or 60 resolutions this year. And if any of our resolutions were denied by NYSBA and our appeals are denied, then you will also be required to stay at the end to put them on. You have to re-vote to get them back on to be considered a resolution, and then the group would vote. Last year, there was a quorum of like 400 plus people that stayed on for all that time. I stayed on. I'm willing to do it again, but I'm also willing to step aside and let anybody else who wants to do it this year do it. So it's really fun, guys. All right, so I guess, can we take, Lauren nominated me. Can I have a second? Michelle? All in favor? It's unanimous. And can I make a motion? I guess Lauren's going to make
Yeah,
a
I'd
motion
like to make a
for the Area
motion
11.
To nominate Margaret Marchand for as the Area 11 delegate for NYSBA. Director, excuse me.
You nominated me, and now I'm nominating.
So,
So
we
the
would
other-
like to get a vote of the board for the Area 11 director. Margaret was nominated and is on the slate. I'd love to see a vote. We
In
can get a
fairness, there are two other people running against me, but they did not send their campaign letters to the district. So it's Mark Kernberg from East Williston and Desiree Charisse from Uniondale. So
I'll make a motion to take a vote. Do I have a second?
Oh, I
I'm
can
gonna take a
second
vote.
We need the second.
I'll second.
Unanimous.
Unanimous.
Yes,
Correct.
correct. Earlier in the summer, it was the nomination, and then I received enough nominations, so I can run. I think you have to send it in. I believe there's a survey. I feel like there was a survey. I'll go back and look, and I'll send it to you. Okay, thank you so much, Susan. All right, moving on. Consent agenda, items 7 to 12. 7 to 11, I'm sorry. Any discussion, any questions? Can I have a motion to vote? Michelle, a second. George, all in favor of accepting the consent agenda? It's unanimous. And that is it. I believe we have someone who wants to speak. John, did you sign up? Oh, you're just sitting near the microphone, hanging out? All right. There's no public comment, Susan? All right. This concludes the regular session of the Locust Valley School Board Education. It is expected that we will convene in executive session. We may choose to act upon a resolution. If we may choose to act upon a resolution to adjourn, It is anticipated that the Board of Education may choose to act upon a resolution to adjourn to executive session to discuss security issues. Please note that the executive session is a portion of the school board meeting that is not open to the public. If any action is required to be taken in public session, the Board of Education will act in accordance with the law. Motion? Second? Michelle? Matt? All in favor? Thank you. Thank you very much for coming and attending.